I guess I'm just wondering, for years and years, we hungered up here for pitching. I mean, it just seemed like, and there was even a story in Baseball America here recently talking about the Reds having so much problem with pitching. But whether it's a formula or whether it's a system, how have they been able to get pitchers, keep them healthy, and be able to bring them along?
Well, I think the big thing, John, is we've really made an emphasis in our scouting and player development to focus on pitching, because we know that pitching is probably the most, it's the toughest thing to find and develop or to trade for, so you have to try and develop your own. Our scouts are very good. Chris Buckley, our amateur scouting director, has done a very good job of identifying guys, and Mike Leake was a guy that he really pushed to draft. And we have, I think, in our organization, probably as fine a pitching coaches as anybody in the game. When you look at like Ted Powers at AAA, all the way down to a guy like Tom Browning in the rookie leagues. And we've got guys at every level that are quality pitching coaches. And we're quality major league pitchers. Bob Forsch, who was pitched with the Cardinal organization, is down in Billings for the last couple of years. So we've got quality pitching coaches that are teaching these kids. And we've got a program, strength and conditioning, to make sure that we keep them on track health-wise.
Do you have a preference on taking a kid out of high school or taking a kid out of college?
Well, that's a really good question. I think with college, it just depends on the individual and where you're at. I think sometimes if you need immediate help, you go for the college guy, and that's why we took Leak. We also took a player last year, Drew Sisko, who's uncle, I think it's his uncle.
Galen
Sisko,
oh.
yeah. It's his nephew. And this young man, in fact, I talked to Browning over the weekend because he had him down in Arizona. He said this young man has got a chance to be a really good pitcher, and he was a high school pitcher. So, you know, just there's not a real clear answer to it. You just have to, depends on where the guy is in his development and so forth, and where you are with your depth in pitching.
I got to tell you, it had to be 3 years ago. We were in spring training, and people were talking about Homer Bailey or this or that, and Browning said to me, he says, "Watch Johnny Cueto." He says, "That's the guy that I think is going to be up there." So I think Tom must be a pretty good judge of talent.
Tom is a good judge of talent, and the kids really respect him. He's, you know, because he keeps them loose, but he also gets a message to them and teaches them well.
Homer Bailey, I don't want to leave without talking a little bit about him. There's a guy that at times shows really flashes of being terrific. You
know, it's interesting with him. He's a guy that I've always liked since I've come over here, and I've fought for, because there were people that were getting frustrated with him here because he was very stubborn and hard to teach. But I think he came around a lot last year, and I think he and Brian Price had a good working relationship, and he's starting to get it, starting to understand, and he and Dusty have a good relationship. And I still think he has a chance to be, he's a guy that could possibly be one of those guys that emerges as a top of rotation guy.
Okay, back, we just have a few more minutes with Walt Jocketty in a little bit, but first there's a new display at the Reds Hall of Fame and the museum that commemorates the game-winning and division-clinching home run of Jay Bruce late last September. And Saturday, that display was completed when Bruce brought the actual home run ball to be part of the display. They call it the clinch ball. Here's the ball close up, and there's the batting gloves that Jay used to hit that pitch. It's a reminder of a great moment in Reds history, one that Bruce finally got to watch recently.
You know, I actually watched it for the first time 2 days ago. Like, sat down and actually watched the home run. I was cleaning out my office, and I found, like, not cleaning out, but organizing my office, and I found the DVD of the game. So I put it in my computer and checked it out. It didn't get old, I'll tell you that.
Fans came out to Great American Ballpark Saturday to talk baseball and to select a seat. They got to look inside, finding what looks good and what they could afford. Then they walked outside to see if that's the view they want for this coming baseball season. Ballpark's in its winter hibernation, but it's going to change pretty soon. Opening day is only 2 months away, and so the Reds invited in fans to come and watch, and many fans took them up on the offer, and there were different reasons why.
I've had Bengal season tickets for the last 4 years, and I've just kind of grown disenchanted with the organization and paying that amount of money. And I figure for the same amount of money, I'm a teacher, I'm off all summer. I come to a ton of Reds games anyway, and it just made a lot more sense. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but it's looking like it's going to make a lot more sense to do this.
Back a few more minutes with Reds General Manager Walt Jocketty. Richard writes, is it more difficult to make a trade today in baseball, say, than 10 years ago? So could you explain why?
Well, it's actually more difficult to do just about anything than it was 10 years ago, and I'm serious about that, whether it's a trade or signing a free agent or whatever. But it's difficult with trades because you know, there's no trade clauses in contracts, which was one of the things we faced with Lee last year, but he finally waived that. It's tough to, you know, different clauses in contracts, the amount of money that a player's making, and there's a lot of different factors that make it more difficult to acquire players, especially in mid-season when you're trying to help your club.
Sure. I'm surprised nobody emailed about Aroldis Chapman and how you plan to use this guy. He's a special talent, and I guess you have to handle with care, but you also want to put him in the right position there.
Right. That's a good question, because that was another question that came up a lot on the Caravan, and we made a decision at the end of the season when we had a meeting with Dusty and his staff and my staff the day after the playoffs were over, before everyone's left, and kind of reviewed the year and looking into the coming season. And one of the things that Brian Price suggested, our pitching coach, was that we keep Aroldis in the bullpen for another year, let him develop a little bit more coming out of the bullpen, work on his pitches a little bit and his command and getting used to pitching in the major leagues. And then we'll see where we are after that. So I think for this year he'll pitch in the bullpen, and he will probably pitch late in the game quite a bit and just see what he's capable of doing. But it was another reason why we felt that not being able to bring Arthur Rhodes back, that Chapman might be able to assume that role.
Would you say that's your toughest loss for the off season?
Yeah, and it you know, it's tough to lose because Arthur had a great first half with us. He was struggled a little bit in the second half, mainly because of some injuries, but that was one of the problems we faced. You know, when you get to over 40 as a pitcher, sometimes you just don't know what to expect, and we just couldn't go long term with it.
Okay. Are you comfortable with Coco Cordero in that closer role?
Yeah, I think we are, because you know, he still had 40 saves. He blew a lot of saves, but one of the things we've worked on this winter is getting him in better condition coming into the season, and hopefully that will help him and be more successful in his save conversion.
Getting his legs more than anything else, you think?
Legs, just his whole body. I mean, he just, a lot of it probably is his legs, too.
Okay, Nick Massett also, I hate to go without mentioning him, because I think there's a guy that started to be pretty dependable in the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, he's, you know, at some point he will get a chance to close some games, I would think, because he is a guy that and now I think he feels more confident. He's, you know, he was a guy that you had to really get him, set him up in the right situations at first. But now I think he's gotten confidence, and his stuff is remarkable. So he's another guy that's a potential closer for us.
When you go down to Goodyear, who do you look at? I know you probably spend too much time in the office, but as you get out onto the field, do you look at the guys that you want on the field this year, or are you looking at the I guess the Billy Hamiltons or the Franciscos or the Grandals, and getting a good feel for what they're doing? Really a lot of both, and actually in spring training I try to stay out of the office as much as I can, because that's the one time you can see everybody. So I'll watch the Major League Club a lot first, just to kind of see how we're going about our business and if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And then I like to get down and see the younger kids play, because that is our future, and I don't always get a chance to go out and see them play during the season. So but you got to kind of keep your eye on both parts of it. We finish with this. Well, as you look at your competition, can the Reds win this division again?
I think we can. Yeah, I think we are. What we have to do is keep getting better. Our young players have to keep growing and getting better, and if we continue to do that and stay healthy, we'll be right there. Our competition is certainly better, with Milwaukee improving, Cardinals made a few upgrades, the Cubs did, and Houston finished the season strong like we did the year before. So it's going to be a lot tougher, but I still feel very confident about our club.
Well, I just want to say how much I appreciate you coming in, especially with what you've been through in the last few days.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people in Reds country appreciate being able to hear from you like this.
It's my pleasure.
That's our show for tonight. My thanks to Walt Jocketty for being here. We're all baseball fans, but it gives us a unique perspective of the game. Thanks for your time. For Philip Lee, I'm John Popovich. Next week, it's Super Sunday. We'll be here to talk about it. Good night. We'll see you then.